Hi, welcome. It's Cassidy and Jackie from Kindness Across Abilities, coming from you to you from outside. Kindness Across Abilities is a nonprofit organization geared to decreasing stigmas, increasing inclusivity, and just continuously encouraging conversation and communication so that we can all better understand each other and work together for a better community.
I'm going to try and not get distracted by the chickens in the background. I'm doing my best.
She's got some new babies. That's why we're coming to you from outside. They're very vocal.
Yes, very vocal.
Speaking of vocal, today's topic is about communication. So we want to give you a little bit of breakdown, starting with the traditional forms of communication.
So I would say the traditional forms are verbal behaviors that are typically recognized by Skinner, which are manned, which means I'm going to say something because I want something. I'm saying cookie because I want a cookie. There's tacting, where you're just basically labeling things, where you see an airplane and you're like, oh, I recognize that that's an airplane. And it even can be something that might be confused as a man, like cookie. Like I see a cookie, so I'm saying cookie, but you give me a cookie and I put it down. Like I don't want the cookie. I'm just saying it because I see it. And then there are interverbals where you're going listener respondent and you're saying like, good morning. And you say,
good morning. How are you?
Interverbal.
Yeah.
What's your name? My name's Jackie.
Yes.
Things like that. That's your interverbal. And then there's echoics where you're saying, say cookie. And then you go
cookie.
No, you said to say cookie.
Say cookie.
Yeah. See. There you go. That's
I don't know what the deciding factor with a child when they're gonna imitate the whole phrase or they're just gonna say the thing after say.
I think if they're in an echoic phase where like they are speaking in echoics, you'll know this because every time you say, say I want cookie, they're like, say I want cookie, say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye, Barbara, and the kid's Barbara or whatever, and you're trying to tell them and they're like, bye Barbara, that's your traditional echoic.
So when they're in that phase, how do you typically deal with that? You drop the say in it?
It makes it functional and always speak in like a functional language. Like even if you're playing a game, be like, oh, I'm so excited to play. So if they say, oh, I'm so excited to play, be like, great, me too. Okay, let's go. And then you just keep going and everything you say should be equally functional if they copy it.
That's a level of mindfulness. Everything that you say is something you want to hear them say and work on that stuff.
It's not my deal. Today is a great day for outside, I think.
It's going great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about gestalts.
Okay. So gestalts, I think, are fairly, hold on a second, I just want to make sure she feels comfortable. Safe.
You're a pretty girl.
Yes. So gestalts. I feel like this is a little bit, I think, newer of a thing. She also doesn't like the sound of my voice. That's why I'm understanding. She's communicating.
Luckily, that's not working.
Yeah, she's like, it's my turn. You talked this whole time. And it's a functional form of communication. I'll put her by. This is Rainbow. She's a little tan and white. Behind me is Pecker and Mason. They are all lovingly named by children, so don't judge me.
Delicious eggs.
Truly. So there's different phases of gestalts, and you can look these up by they're called NLAs. NLA stages, and they basically are what people traditionally think of as maybe like scripts is what you say, and it's like I don't know, a very popular one is like to infinity and beyond. I'm sure you can think of a lot because we have a gestalt friend.
Yeah, my favorite is hey everybody. And it's typically in a functional way, like we're sitting in circle time. He's like, hey everybody, are you ready? But it's like we've already passed like the greeting portion of it. But it's just still there's some type of purpose trying to be communicated.
Exactly. Yeah, they're taking a phrase that they've heard and they're implanting it where it could be used, or maybe they're trying to figure out where it functionally can be used. And they're basically learning language in a full phrase rather than word by word. And then this will slowly break apart and it will be like a piece of a phrase. So it's kind of funny because as you move along in stages, your gestalt gets smaller. But you would think, it gets larger, but this time it's breaking down because we're starting with the phrase.
Yes.
And the whole phrase is an understanding. but we don't necessarily have an understanding for each individual word. So now we're breaking it down and we're understanding like each increment as we go. So a portion of that and a portion of another gestalt are being used. And then a portion of a gestalt and another portion of a gestalt are getting pushed together and things like that. And that's how that evolves.
Yes, absolutely. That's very cool. So what are your thoughts about how like some gestalts that they might use that seem maybe irrelevant in context of the conversation could be them attempting to communicate an emotion? Like how would you
Like give me an
navigate that?
example.
So like if an individual when upset mentions like green beans, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like who like in a stressful situations, they will just in some context bring up green beans.
Okay.
But it was like after further investigation, realizing like he was forced to eat green beans. And so when he feels uncomfortable and doesn't want to do a task, it reminds him of that. And the thing that comes to mind is green.
That makes sense. It's like I'm assuming this is the same kind of, situation that they feel like this is what it means. And maybe green beans is a label that was attached to the feeling rather than, like anger or whatever. That's just a word we give it, but he gave it green beans.
Yeah.
I think my best advice for something like that I've seen that works in the past is just to think through it and be like, okay, well, green beans is a food and we're not eating right now, so you must be trying to tell me something else about green beans. But I'm not really sure that I'm understanding. But like, you look upset. So I'm going to assume green beans is upsetting you and we can move on. Is there another vegetable that you would like to discuss better that you want to eat? Are you hungry? Like, I know you're trying to communicate with me. And I think that's something that we wanted to nail home about this is like understanding that they are trying to communicate with you.
Yeah.
And it's us who doesn't understand. Like, they get what's going on, but we're just like, I just don't understand how I can help you or like what exactly you're needing from me.
I like to tackle like when a learner is using a gestalt, it's kind of like, okay, this is a foreign language where like the purpose is still to communicate something, but I need to meet you where you are in my limited English, and then you have your interpretation of the language, and we like slowly figure it out together. Because like you said, just to acknowledge the attempt of like, you're trying to communicate something and I'm not going to shut the door on the conversation, but I do need a little bit more clues or something.
Yeah. And if you work with the autistic community, children, I would definitely watch a lot of Paw Patrol. And
being a mom has been such a gift because I already know.
Yeah, I'm like, I know what he's talking about. It's from this movie or, whatever. There's one with like a kid and he was like throwing the balls everywhere or something. And the other kid's like, you're going to have to pay for that. And it was an element.
Oh,
like,
cute.
Yeah, water and the fire one got together or whatever.
So here's a fun one too. One of my friends goes, it's a part of a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode where Mickey goes, I got it. And then Goofy's like, no, I got it. So like him and I will kind of like, he'll say, no, I got it. And I'm like, no, I got it. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's still trying to communicate, but I think it's just something too that makes him happy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
again,
that
like a
it's
feeling.
Yeah.
It could be my turn, your turn.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna have to be more mindful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun part of this. Is
figuring it out. What context is it being said in? When is it being said?
Yes. So, okay. Anything else you'd like to add about traditional forms of communication?
No, I think again, we always think that verbal communication is like a vocal, but verbal is anything, even gestures trying to communicate to someone else. And vocal is literally just vocalizations coming out.
Right.
Even as noises.
Yes. Because like verbs are action. That's what we do. So when you're actively using your body too, that's also a verbal type of communication. And to the noises, of that vocal behavior, there's still an attempt being made.
Yeah. And then you're separating, like, is this a vocal behavior of speech sounds? Is this a vocal behavior of speech sounds in another language, which is sometimes what's going on? And you're like, I don't know what this kid's saying. And then all of a sudden you're like watching his go in their YouTube links. If you ever give him a tablet, like that's non-supervised. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, if they have a tablet at periods of time where you're literally not standing there watching them, then go through their search history, watch the videos that they're watching and see, like, maybe they're watching a video in Russian over and over again. And now they're speaking Russian.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I have a friend who's currently, we just figured that out. And
Oh.
search history is like your friend. Let me tell you, even if you're like, dude, I'm having a hard day, you're having a hard day, here's the iPad.
Mhm.
And like, you're like, you know what? We're going to make this functional. We are going to make this learning experience. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to let you watch whatever you want on YouTube with you kind of in the room and listening, and to be sure you're still on, age appropriate things.
Yeah.
Because it is YouTube.
Mhm.
But then go through and see what they're watching. And if they're rewinding something and watching it and you're getting annoyed because you're hearing that phrase all the time, well, maybe it's a tune or a color scene or something in there that's fine, that they find it interesting.
Ooh, that's fascinating. They could be captivated by the like aesthetics of the image,
Yeah, like the visual or the lightings or
but then maybe are more inclined to like using that just all later because they've
heard it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also if you're like, oh my gosh, this is super, it's a lot of noise or it's very light, then that's giving you cues for their sensory things that they like. Like maybe they're like kind of kid and that spinny light up toy like changes your life.
I know with Christmas coming about, you have to be more mindful with children, on the spectrum because, like, I mean, children in general, you just never know what's going to tickle their heart. But, like, you can really find some cool sensory toys that are going to super motivate them. Okay, so we talked about traditional verbal behavior. Let's get into adaptive. So this is an example. This is just a board. Fun fact, you can use the website Board Makers. I do think there is a fee for using it, but for like a basic, something to have at home in the beginning phase, this could be super beneficial.
Mhm.
So what do you think, Jackie? Pros, cons?
The pros is it's a great bridge. Pictures are a great like visual, like just for young children in general. Like if you don't know, like if you spell out the word tiger and you ask a kid what is it, they like may not know. But if you show them a picture of tiger, younger kids, even like neurotypical children, are going to know tiger visually before they know the word. So this pictures is just a great basic form of like identification of basically tacting and being able to see like, oh, this is, an apple, this is a food, this is bread, this is cheese, this could be something that I want when I'm hungry, and using that to communicate, even just pointing to, or like sometimes you pull them and give them. I actually do like the adaptation of pointing because Velcro and kids, either they want to do it 100 times and your Velcro is no good, or you like miss pieces along the way, or they don't like the touch of Velcro if they're either the soft or the pokey side hooks and hoops. I get it, but I'm just saying soft. But I don't think I think the con for this is no one wants to carry around a giant book to communicate. The book is not going to, even if it's like, a big giant dictionary size or something, you're just not going to have necessarily everything you want. And you're going to be like flipping through pages to communicate. What if you forget it at home?
Right.
It's a good bridge. And I think it's a great place to start, especially when they're really young. I would hate to see a kid or a person stuck there for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. And we also think that this is good to be utilized in like institutions and facilities and things just to get a basic like flow of what you might need to ask for at your time at the library or at a social event or something like that. So if you want an institution or a company and you want to have more questions about making something like this, we'd love for us to put something together. Please reach out to us. We want to service the community any way possible.
Even restaurants.
Yeah.
Totally. Someone who kind of uses this in adaptation is Special Needs. Special Needs is a bakery in Georgia, in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and they employ people of special needs. And their menu, like when they're checking out, one, the screen is lower, so if you're in a wheelchair, you can access it. And then if you maybe don't have reading capabilities, it's in pictures so that they can actually check you out by using the pictures of what you're ordering. So
that's awesome.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, we hope to see that more.
Yeah,
all over because everybody.
I know, and screens are so easy to change with a swipe of a finger to even have like an adaptive menu. Or I mean, half the time I have to look at the menu on my phone anyway, and I'm like, look, I'm too blind for this. I need the really big giant printout, and you're scanning the menu anyway, so you might as well have like an adaptable, accessible version. Hi.
Back to communicate.
This is Rainbow again. She's back.
She's trying to take over as host. It's fine.
You don't want to be over here, fine.
She has a lot to say. She's had a life. Speaking of screens and adaptation, let's get into AAC devices.
Okay, AAC devices. I love a good AAC device. I do not think that this needs to be something that's withheld only for those who are non-vocal. I think that AAC devices are a great bridge, just like a PEC system or any kind of picture exchange program. I mean, ultimately, I think it's basically just a better digital version of that. And I would say, number one, let your kid babble on it. When they get the thing, let them play, hit all the buttons, just like a baby would babble and make sounds or make random words and things like that and piecing it together. Let them play with it. Don't just be like, this isn't a toy. This is a form of communication. No, like, this is how I'm exploring. Let me explore. And explore with them. Don't be like, this is how you have to use it to communicate. Like, you can also be like, biscuit, you're eating a biscuit. Does the biscuit taste good? And modeling those same phrases of whatever they're learning. And a lot of times, if you've never seen an AAC device, it's very cool. When you hit a button, it will typically like shift you to a functional page. So like if you hit I, it would shift you to a page and it would have things like want, need, and it's kind of like adapting to like what you're already saying.
So then bringing it back to gestalts, if they're having a phrase and they're fundamentally learning each individual word, then the AAC device could also benefit them because it's like each individual word is a fluid
sentence. Yes, it's you're putting pieces together and you're building. Another one I just saw that I wanted to get for a friend is it's like again, this is just a bridge. This is just a way to learn. It's like words that you can flip in rotation so you can create different sentences, even if they don't make any sense. Like my robot dog cat or something. It's just a bunch of words on rotation that you can flip. And then you can even maybe bring up pictures of like, okay, like this is mine, it's possessive, you know, dog, cat, you know, whatever, robot, and show them pictures and piece those together. But for our little ones too, who can read, visuals of not pictures, but visuals of words. That's a great prompting level of being like, you know, I kind of understand what you're wanting. I am trying to help you express to others what you want. So like writing it down. And so we're using this right now and we shaped it by just holding up a blank piece of paper. Jolie says bracer. Like, it's great. And eventually we'll just, you know, fade that out and work towards, you know, a spontaneous vocalization for that person. But
that's so fascinating. So you would first have something written on the page that they needed to say, and then eventually you faded it to it was just like these papers saying, basically, put your words here, like you fill it in, you tell us something,
and then they can, you know, have words because again they can read and build them into sentences that they.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes, I love. It's kind of funny because you're like, is this the visual? Even though it's written, we need to get like, I guess it is visual.
But it's not a picture.
It's not a picture. And I think this helps even too for like the ones who have trouble spontaneously speaking or they're stuck in echoic phases because you're trying to communicate and you're trying to initiate a listener respondent. You're trying to engage in introverbal, but you can't get past it because you're in an echoic phrase. Where like if you can ask something and then hold up what you want them to say in response, they can read it. And now they're understanding the flow a little bit better because you're helping them fill it in without being like, okay, now you say.
Yes.
I say, now, okay, now you say. Like, it just gets very confusing.
Yes. Say this. Okay, so if you're, let's say I'm a parent and I notice my child is in like the echoic stage and they're repeating everything I'm saying, and I want to sort of build the concept of a conversation, I would say, okay, like let's say we're going to go play outside. I know they want to play outside. And it's like, I could ask, where do you want to go, and hold up a picture of the park, and then they maybe if they're in the tacting phase could say park. Now we have a conversation. Okay. Yeah
Go from there.
Okay,
good luck. If you guys have any questions, you need any support, literally we keep saying this, but we really do mean it. Email us, ask us your questions. If you're local, we're happy to come to you. You come to us and give you, we're just here to support.
Yeah, virtual supports and stuff. We're working to try and be more like accessible. I think in my time working with children who do have different communicational like skill sets, one phrase I find myself using a lot is "I hear you," because even though you may not understand, I think just validating like "I hear you" and I see, like you said, like I see you're frustrated or I see you're excited, like I hear you.
Yeah.
Is
And
goes a long
even
way.
saying like, you look frustrated to me. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's how you feel, but that's how your behaviors, your gestures are coming off. And that makes me think that you might want to do something else, that you might want to switch and talk through that. Again, I think that that's something that's hard to think about as an adult because it
Yeah.
comes so naturally for us that it seems redundant to explain something.
It does. It does. Yeah.
But they're
but-
not an adult
Mhm.
and no one's taught them these things if they're not there yet. So we need to teach them.
Yeah, it's great to narrate and just be as communicative as possible because again, you're modeling.
Yep.
So even like let's say they're repeating everything you're saying, but you can still model the skills that you have and hope that that bridges the gap a little bit there too. So, all right, thank you guys so much for another one of our videos. We look forward to hearing and seeing you all soon. Bye.